Hello ladies, and welcome back to Chengisworld. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. If you're coming back for the 100th time, the 12th time, whatever amount of times that you've been here, I really appreciate you coming back. I appreciate your comments, your likes, your shares. You are my world. I am Chengi and you are my world. For those of you who are new to my channel, thank you so much for tuning in. So if you want to hang out with me throughout the week between videos, make sure you connect with me on Instagram and Facebook. My handle is chengisworld on both handles. Okay, so feel free to leave a message, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that I know that it's for real in your party, because we are going places, girls. We are going places. Yes. Okay, so today is Storytime Saturday. I'm so sorry I didn't get around to doing one last week. My weeks sometimes get crazy busy. I am, as you guys know, writing a book, and it takes up pretty much everything, and before I know it, time is gone, and then I'm sort of struggling to record some videos. So bear with me, and I know my backdrop is different, and get used to it changing a lot in the next probably 2 to 3 months, and I'll explain that to you when I get to the other side. Okay, so it will all make sense, but I quite like the change and diversifying, and it's nice out here with daylight and just being out in my car and just having some me time. Okay, so for Storytime Saturday, I wanted to talk to you guys. I did promise you ladies that I would tell you about some of the guys I've dated and some of the lessons I've learned, because ultimately nobody's that interested in who I've dated. Are you? Are you really interested? I don't think so. But definitely, if there is something, a date I had, or a person that I met with that can teach us all a lesson in the way that it was taught to me, and why that lesson was important, then I will share that with you. I am still trying to figure out what sort of stories I want to tell. I've given you pretty much my life story to date. We are writing the story as we go along. I will continue to update you and continue to find, you know, things. And if there's anything that you really want to know about, make sure you leave it in the comments. Let me know what you would like me to cover for Storytime Saturday. I would like to invite some people onto my channel to tell us their story, their love story. Oh, that would be so nice. I've got a few people in mind that I would love for them to come and tell us their love story. Okay, because I love love stories. I always ask the question, so how did you guys meet? Okay, so maybe get a few brides to be to tell us what happened, how they proposed, and what was their journey, and if there are any lessons that some of us can take away from that. Okay, so today's story is going back to a gentleman that I dated many years ago, and I was really I met a lot of men in my time, but very few that really captured my imagination. And this one happened too, and it was very much in my early days of dating. And what the lesson here is more important than really what happened. But I do remember what happened was he was very hot and cold, on and off. Sometimes he would text me, sometimes he wouldn't. And I knew it was wrong, and I knew that I was putting myself in a situation that was unhealthy, but I didn't know why. I didn't have the why. And this is the thing that I find women, I need to educate a lot of us on, is it's our why. Our whys are not strong enough. We don't want a guy that ghosts us. We don't want a guy that's inconsistent. We don't want this, but we don't know why we don't want it. Usually it's for superficial reasons. Usually it's because, it just feels bad when a guy ghosts you or doesn't show his consistency, texts you, sometimes doesn't text you, communicates inconsistently. It feels bad because you're always on a hook waiting for that one moment where he's just gonna, come out trumps and show you what he's made of. And sometimes it just gets frustrating and difficult, but that is not why it's unacceptable behavior. So I remember it was a very windy, stormy day, and I'd just come out of work. I was working in Harrods those days, and I was on a late shift. And when I got to Victoria Station, the trains were not running because the winds were terrible. At that time, trees in the forest were literally breaking and falling, and it was horrible. Fences were flying. It was a horrible storm, terrible storm. And that weekend happened to be the weekend where my son was away with his dad, so I had a free weekend, and I was dating this person, really liked this person, and their job was always a reason why they couldn't see me or be around. It was always at their convenience, but I was still very fresh and not very clear about dating in those days. But as I was sort of coming, we had to wait for hours and hours and hours, and I remember feeling like I wish I had somebody who, you know, everybody was on their phones talking to their loved ones and explaining this is what's going on. We don't know if there's going to be a train out of London. I'm going to have to book from London back home. I'm going to have to book a hotel. And they had people on the other side who were worried about them. And I remember sitting there thinking, I have nobody to call, like, apart from my girlfriends who can, you know, they can't really do very much. But I remember thinking, I have nobody in this whole world who I can be calling, and that's fine. It is true of everybody. It wasn't a self-pity thing, but how can I be dating a guy and not feel comfortable at this time to call him and say, hey, this is what's going on. I'm stuck in Victoria. I don't know when I'm going to have, you know, when a train is going to come, if it is going to come. What do I do? Even if I'm a grown woman and I know what to do, I was seeing other women and other people having, okay, we'll wait for you at the station. Okay, if you don't make it, then you might have to, you know, people were making arrangements. And I was having to stand there and think, I can't ping this guy. I felt I couldn't ping him because he was so inconsistent. I didn't even know what we were. I didn't know what was going on with us, but we'd been seeing each other for quite a while, and I just wasn't sure. And I thought, I'm a big girl, I can make it. And so I didn't really kind of make a fuss of it. Eventually a train showed up, and you can imagine, if anyone who knows anything about London, if you live outside of London and you're trying to come out, I mean, people had been waiting for hours and hours, and there was only one train leaving. So you can imagine, we were like sardines. We were packed to the brim in that train, and I mean, we were like making love to one another. It was that close. Eventually we got to my station, thank God, and the train was like, okay, we can't go any further. The wind will literally top us over. I mean, these winds were awful. Long story short is I got out of the train, and everybody who had somebody had them waiting, had the cars waiting at the station, had people waiting at the station, and I thought to myself, I'm not going to catch a bus. And I was used to walking home, and the walk home from the station was about 20 minutes. And I thought, why the hell not? But literally the wind was so powerful that it was literally lifting me off my feet. That's how bad it was. And I was really very tiny then, tinier than I am now. And I remember walking and praying and saying, God, just get me home safely. Just get me home safely. Just get me home safely. And I had my headphones on, and it was just worshiping and just, you know, just trying to keep my mind off, because literally things were flying. It was a horrible storm, right? Even when you were indoors, you felt like the house was shaking. So I was like, God, I just need to get to my front door. I was soaking wet. And I remember walking, and as I was near to approach home, a big, huge, humongous tree. And I had my headphones in because I was trying to not hear the wind and the breaking of things to frighten myself. And I just remember the Holy Spirit sort of saying, run. I just felt this run. And I was literally 2 seconds away from this huge tree. And I could not hear it, but it was just this voice of the Holy Spirit says, run. And I just remember running as fast as I could. And as I ran, I looked back. Literally behind me, the tree went boof. And it did not touch me, just by a hairbreadth. And I remember walking home knowing that if I had been stuck, I looked at the fall, the tree, the foliage of the tree, the span of the tree. There is no way anybody would have known I was underneath there under any circumstances. They wouldn't have found out for days, until maybe the next day when the people from the council would have come to the tree. Then they'd have discovered that there was somebody down there. And that's the day I remember walking soberly. At that point, when you come so close to death, so close to injury, things become crystal clear for you. They become very clear. And I walked as if in slow motion. And at that point, I was not afraid of anything because I literally had avoided death. I was just so grateful to God that he was so good to me. Like, he saved me from so many things. And I'd never until that point come anywhere near death, because there is no way I would have survived that. The tree was huge. It was like a skyscraper, and there was no way the wind could have broken that tree. But I believe that God allowed that to show me that I cannot afford to have anyone in my life who doesn't know where I am, who doesn't care if I'm safe, and who doesn't make it their business to know. I then realized that when you entertain hot and cold, on and off, sometimes it texts, sometimes it's not texting, what that person is saying to you is, I don't care how you're making it through the day. I don't care if you make it through the day. When a man stops communicating with you and stops being consistent and stops being committed to that communication and to that pursuit of you, what he is saying to you, sweetheart, what he is saying to you, beloved, what he is saying to you, angel, is that he doesn't care if you live or die. Because a man that truly cares about you, wants to say good morning to you, because he wants to make sure you woke up, baby. He wants to say, baby, did you get home safely? Let me know when you get home safely. And there's a time he usually calls just to make sure that you are home safe. There's a time, there's a pattern that he creates to make sure you're safe, because he cares about whether you made it through the day. You see, you're better off alone than with a half-wit, sometimes in, sometimes not, I'm not sure kind of guy. And from that day onward, I didn't understand half of the stuff I understand now, but I knew that I can never allow anybody into my life to take up my time, my emotional space, my place, who doesn't know or care. He did not even contact me for another day or two. He knew there were storms. He knew but he didn't because the truth is, how I made it through the day had nothing to do with him. He was in it for himself. And I remember, still being hopeful and saying to him, look, yesterday was really rough. I nearly found myself under a tree, so be careful out there, I was saying to him. And he didn't say, you okay? He didn't show any concern. It was like, oh, okay, yeah. We're out here, ladies. Some of you are where I was then. Some of you are here right now. With men that are inconsistent. He doesn't call. He ghosted you years ago. You're chasing. Look. Life doesn't have to be as dramatic as mine. You don't have to come near death to see things clearly. But when God put Adam and Eve together, when he put the couple together, when he brought two people together, is that they would watch out for one another. He said it's not good for man to be alone. Two are better than one. Why? Because you need somebody who's got your back. It's great that you got mom. It's great you got your friends. But if you don't have a man who has your back, who doesn't care how you make it through the day, and it starts off with the small things. It's the little foxes. It's the little signs. Red flags don't come in big, huge red flags. They're tiny little red flags. If he doesn't respond to your text messages, if he doesn't text you for days, for hours, for whatever, you don't even know when he's going to next text you. He doesn't care how you're making it through the day. He doesn't care if you've made it through the night. If your man stops pinging you in the morning and asking how you slept, if that morning call becomes, sometimes he stopped caring and you need to move on, because you deserve somebody who knows how you make it through the day. So that was a story that happened to me that really gave me such an awakening to what I deserve. That's when I realized that I deserve somebody who knows and cares how I make it through the day. And so from then onwards, when a man was inconsistent, whenever he would not text me in the morning or text me at some point in the night, I would always think, you don't care how I made it through the day today. You don't care if I made it through the day. And if you don't care, then how are you going to protect me? Because that is my standard. So ask yourself, are you entertaining a man, making excuses for a man who doesn't know how you made it through the day or how you survived the night. Because any other guy is a waste of your time. Any man who doesn't care how you make it through the day and make it through the night is not worth your time. I hope this story was really helpful and opened your eyes and shared a little bit about some of the things that may perhaps reach out to somebody today as you listen to this. I hope you are blessed. I love you so much, my precious ones. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Let's grow Chengi's World. It's a beautiful place with beautiful flowers, with beautiful angels, with beautiful people like yourself. I love Chengi's World. I love my world. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care of you. Love you lots. Bye-bye now.